Now, getting back to Lamentations, hopefully this won't be cut off because, man, that's so frustrating, but it is what it is. So I left off with Lamentation 1, and I don't even have a plan on anything that God would show me or anything else, so it may just be straight reading through. It could be nothing. But I believe that this is a prophetic book for our time because lots of people have been warning, just like Jeremiah, for years. And nobody ever dreamed that we'd see something like Lamentations or have to deal with any of it. I don't know how far we'll have to deal with this, but I believe it's a prophetic book for our time. So Lamentations 2. How hath the Lord covered the daughter of Zion with a cloud in his anger, and cast down from heaven unto earth the beauty of Israel, and remembered not his footstool in the day of his anger. The Lord hath swallowed up all the habitations of Jacob, and hath not pitied. He hath thrown down in his wrath the strongholds of the daughter of Judah. He hath brought them down to the ground. He hath polluted the kingdom and the princes thereof. He hath cut off in his fierce anger the horn of Israel, and hath drawn back his right hand from before the enemy. And he burned against Jacob like a flaming fire, which devoureth round about. He hath bent his bow like an enemy. He stood with his right hand as an adversary. He slew all that were pleasant to the eye in the tabernacle of the daughter of Zion. He poured out fury like fire. And you think about it, we all know it's not going to be with water this time. When he comes back, it's going to be with flaming fire. Spiritually, it's going to be a flaming fire. Even we are in the refining fires. He is a God who answers by fire. Even the fire that's in the eyes of our Lord Jesus Christ. The Lord was as an enemy. He hath swallowed up Israel. He hath swallowed up all her palaces. He hath destroyed his strongholds. He hath increased in the daughter of Judah mourning and lamentation. He hath violently taken away his tabernacle, as if it were a garden. He hath destroyed his places as of the assembly. The Lord hath caused solemn feasts and Sabbaths to be forgotten in Zion. He hath despised in the indignation of his anger the king and the priest. The Lord hath cut off his altar. He hath abhorred his sanctuary. He hath given unto the hand of the enemy the walls of her palaces. They have made a noise in the house of the Lord, as in the day of a solemn feast. The Lord hath purposed to destroy the wall of the daughter of Zion. He hath stretched out the line. He hath not withdrawn his hand from destroying. Therefore he made a rampart, and the wall to lament. And the wall to lament, they languish together. And I tell you, as I read this, just everything in me. I mean, I don't know why, but I feel like I want to cry. And maybe that's just the way Jeremiah felt. Because maybe, just maybe, Jeremiah saw way more than he ever wanted to see. And that's why they called him the weeping prophet. Because how can you see things like this and not weep? When even the animals, it just is almost too much to take in. And you see what these people in Lamentations, we don't know things like this. We just don't understand this kind of lamentation, this kind of tribulation. But it will come. It says her gates are sunk into the ground. He hath destroyed and broken her bars. Her king and her princes are among the Gentiles. The law is no more. The law is no more. Her prophets also find no vision from the Lord. The elders of the daughter of Zion sit on the ground and keep silence. They have cast up dust on their heads. They have girded themselves with sackcloth. The virgins of Jerusalem hang down their heads to the ground. Mine eyes do fail with tears. My bowels are troubled. My liver is poured upon the earth for the destruction of the daughter of my people, because the children and the suckling swoon in the streets of the city. They say to their mothers, "Where is corn and wine?" When they swooned as the wounded in the streets of the city, when their soul is poured out into their mother's bosom. What things shall I take to witness for thee? What things shall I liken to thee, O daughter of Jerusalem? What shall I equal to thee, that I may comfort thee, O virgin daughter of Zion? For thy breach is great like the sea. Who can heal thee? The prophets have seen vain and foolish things. They have not discovered thine iniquity, to turn away thy captivity, but have seen for thee false burdens and causes of banishment. All that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their heads at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, Is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? All thine enemies have opened their mouth against thee. They hiss and gnash their teeth. They say, We have swallowed her up. Certainly, this is the day that we look for. We have found, we have seen it. The Lord hath done that which he hath devised. He hath fulfilled his word that he had commanded in the days of old. He hath thrown down, he hath not pitied, he hath not caused thine enemy to, let me say this again, he hath, rather, caused thine enemy to rejoice over thee. He hath set up the horn of thine adversaries. Their heart cried unto the Lord, O wall of the daughter of Zion, let tears run down like a river day and night. And I just keep on going back to that where Jeremiah was warning, telling him to get the weeping women. And I put that up there on the last one. Jeremiah, I don't know, I think it's 9:17 through 20, maybe, something like that. I could be wrong on that. But the weeping women, and I mean, what a time of really finding God. I tell you, you never find God so close when you're in that kind of shape. And it's like you're thrown into another reality. That kind of suffering produces miracles. That kind of suffering it's a place of miracles. It's a place where God is, if you're really crying out to him. And I believe that during some of the hardest times, we'll see some of the greatest things because people will be sincere in their crying out. And it's going to be a miraculous thing. At the same time, it's going to be a grievous thing because you won't even be able, I mean, we can't wrap our minds around this kind of stuff. If we're here, some people say we're not, some people, but that's up to God. I don't try to sit and to guess that. The Lord hath done that which he hath devised. He hath fulfilled his word that he commanded in the days of old. He hath thrown down and hath not pitied. He hath caused thine enemy to rejoice over thee. He hath set up the horn of thine adversaries. Their heart cried unto the Lord, O wall of the daughter of Zion, let tears run down like a river, day and night. Give thyself no rest, let not the apple of thine eye cease. Arise out in the night, in the beginning of the watches, pour out thine heart like water before the face of the Lord. Lift up thy hands toward him, for the life of thy young children that faint for hunger in the top of every street. Behold, O Lord, and consider to whom thou hast done this. I mean, there are people who are going to say that, but we're America. We've sent more help to people all over the world than anybody. Nobody's done more than America. You know, and I see comments here and there about this is America and all the things that's going on here. So this is what America really is. And people are starting to think that. O Lord, behold, and consider whom thou hast done this. Shall the women eat their fruit, the children of the span long? So shall we eat our children? Shall the priest and the prophet be slain in the sanctuary of the Lord? The young and the old lie in the ground of the streets. My virgin and young men are fallen by the sword. Thou hast slain them in the day of thine anger. Thou hast killed and not pitied. I mean, what are you going to think when people, you heard Alex Jones say it. I mean, people think it's funny. It's just some kind of little joke. It's probably one of the most prophetic things I ever heard, because he said, you all cause all this trouble. And I guess, his little fluffy neighbor would start looking very appetizing if there's no food in the land. And you think that people would you think that would be impossible. But this has already happened. This is not impossible. I mean, thou hast called, as in the solemn days, my terrors round about, so that in the day of the Lord's anger none escaped, nor remained. Those that I have swaddled and brought up hath mine enemy consumed. Lamentations 3. I am the man that hath been afflicted by the rod of his wrath. He hath led me and brought me into darkness, but not into light. Surely against me he turned. He turneth his hand against me all the day. My flesh and my skin hath he made old. He hath broken my bones. He hath builded against me, and compassed me with gall and travail. He hath set me in dark places, as they that be dead of old. He hath hedged me about, that I cannot get out. He hath made my chain heavy. Also when I cry and shout, he shutteth out my prayer. He hath enclosed my ways with hewn stone. He hath made my paths crooked. And here I feel like, I don't know why, but I feel like that feeling of wanting to cry again. He hath made me as a bear lying in wait, and as a lion in secret places. He hath turned aside my ways, and pulled me in pieces. He hath made me desolate. He hath bent his bow. He sent his mark for the arrow. He hath caused the arrow of his quiver to enter into my reins. I was a derision to all my people, and a song, and their song all the day long. That sounds just like Job, doesn't it? Even the little kids made fun of Job. I mean, this man is stature, a man mighty in holiness. And the little kids who wouldn't have even looked his way made songs up, and the drunkards made songs up about him. I was a derision to all my people, and their song all the day. He hath filled me with bitterness. He hath made me drunken with wormwood. He hath also broken my teeth with gravel stones. He hath covered me with ashes. Thou hast removed my soul far off from peace. I forgot prosperity. And I said, my strength and my hope is perished from the Lord, remembering mine affliction and my misery, the wormwood and the gall. My soul hath them in remembrance, and is humbled in me. This I recall to my mind, therefore have I hope. It is of the Lord's mercy that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, saith my soul. Therefore will I hope in him. You see, he knew that the Lord loved him. He knew that he had been punished. They knew. But I love how this goes straight into encouragement after some of the worst things you could ever imagine. The Lord is my portion, saith my soul. Therefore will I hope in him. The Lord is good unto them that wait for him, to the soul that seeketh him. It is good that a man should both hope and quietly wait for the salvation of the Lord. It is good for a man that he bear the yoke of his youth. He sitteth alone and keepeth silence, because he hath borne it upon him. He putteth his mouth in the dust, if so be there may be hope. He giveth his cheek to them that smiteth him. He is filled full with reproach. For the Lord will not cast off forever. But though he cause grief, yet will he have compassion according to the multitude of his mercies. For he doth not afflict willingly, nor grieve the children of men, to crush under his feet all the prisoners of the earth, to turn aside the right of a man before the face of the Most High, to subvert a man in his cause, the Lord approveth not. Who is he that saith, and it cometh to pass, when the Lord commandeth it not? Out of the mouth of the Most High proceedeth not evil and good? Wherefore doth the living man complain, a man for the punishment of his sins? Let us search and try our ways, and turn again to the Lord. Let us lift up our heart with our hands unto God in the heavens. We have transgressed and have rebelled, and thou hast not pardoned. Thou hast covered with anger and persecuted us. Thou hast slain, and thou hast not pitied. Thou hast covered thyself with a cloud, that our prayers should not pass through. Thou hast made us as an offscouring and refuge in the midst of the people. All our enemies have opened their mouth against us. Fear and a snare is come upon us, desolation and destruction. Mine eye runneth down with rivers of water for the destruction of the daughter of my people. Mine eye trickleth down and ceaseth not, without any intermission, till the Lord look down and behold from heaven. Mine eye affecteth mine heart because of all the daughters of my city. Mine enemies chase me sore like a bird, without cause. They have cut off my life in the dungeon, and cast a stone upon me. Waters flowed over my head. Then I said, I am cut off. I called upon thy name, O Lord, out of the low dungeon. Thou hast heard my voice. Hide not thine ear at my breathing, at my cry. Thou drewest near in the day that I called upon thee. Thou saidst, fear not. Fear not. And it says James 4:8. Fear not. O Lord, thou hast pleaded the causes of my soul. Thou hast redeemed my life. O Lord, thou hast seen my wrong. Judge thou my cause. Thou hast seen all their vengeance and all their imaginations against me. Thou hast heard their reproach, O Lord, and all their imaginations against me. The lips of those that rose up against me, and their device against me all the day. Behold their sitting down and their rising up. And look here, it says, I am their music. Render unto them a recompense, O Lord, according to the work of their hands. Give them sorrow of heart, thy curse unto them. Persecute and destroy them in anger from under the heavens of the Lord. And I don't know if I want to go on with 4 or not. Yep, I think so. If I can make it. How is the gold become dim? I love that right there. All this gold, everybody thinks this gold's got, I'm not saying that won't help for the time that it's useful. How is the gold become dim? How is the most fine gold changed? The stones of the sanctuary are poured out in the top of every street. The precious sons of Zion, comparable to fine gold. How are they esteemed as earthen pitchers to work the hands of the potter? Even the sea monsters draw out the breast, and they give suck to their young ones. The daughter of my people is become cruel, like ostriches in the wilderness. The tongue of the sucking child cleaveth to the roof of his mouth. For thirst, the young children ask bread, and no man breaketh unto them. They that did feed deliciously, or delicately rather, are desolate in the streets. You see, that's coming. We all see that. There's some big thing. They're talking about more lockdowns right now. I mean, what in this world? They that did feed delicately are desolate in the streets. They that were brought up in secret embrace dunghill and scarlet, rather. I'm sorry, I have to get myself into more light. America's like that. They that were brought up in scarlet embrace dunghills. For the punishment of the iniquity of the daughter of my people is greater than the punishment of the sin of Sodom, that was overthrown as in a moment, and no hand stayed on her. As the Nazarites were purer than snow, they were whiter than milk, they were more ruddy in body than rubies, their polishing was of sapphire, their visage was blacker than coal. They are not known in the streets, their skin cleaveth to their bones, it is withered, it is become like a stick. They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pine away, stricken through for the want of the fruits of the field. The hands of the pitiful women have sodden or cooked their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. The Lord hath accomplished his fury. He hath poured out his fierce anger. He hath kindled a fire in Zion. It hath devoured the foundations thereof. The kings of the earth and all the inhabitants of the world would not have believed that the adversary and the enemy should have entered into the gates of Jerusalem. And we believe that about America. We just cannot believe that something like that would ever happen. For the sins of her prophets and for the iniquity of her priests that have shed the blood of the just in the midst of her, they have wandered as blind men in the streets. They have polluted themselves with blood, so that men could not touch their garments. They have cried unto them, Depart ye, it is unclean, depart, depart, touch not. When they fled away and wandered, they said among the heathen, They shall no more sojourn there. And the anger of the Lord hath divided them. He will no more regard them. They respected not the persons of the priests. They favored not the elders. As for us, our eyes yet failed for our vain help. In our watching we have watched for a nation that could not save us. Wow. In our watching we have watched a nation that could not save us. They hunt our steps, that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near, our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. Our persecutors are swifter than eagles of the heaven. They pursued us upon the mountains. They laid wait for us in the wilderness. The breath of our nostrils and the anointed of the Lord was taken in their pits, of whom we said, Under his shadow we shall live among the heathen. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken, thou shalt make thyself naked. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins. In the last chapter, Lamentations 5. Remember, O Lord, what is come upon us. Consider and behold our reproach. Our inheritance is turned to strangers, our house to aliens. We are orphans and fatherless, our mothers are as widows. We have drunken our water for money, our wood is sold unto us. Our necks are under the persecution, we labor and have no rest. We have given the hand to the Egyptians and to the Assyrians to be satisfied with bread. Our fathers have sinned and are not, and we have borne their iniquities. Servants have ruled over us. There is none that doth deliver us out of their hand. We gat our bread with the peril of our lives because of the sword of the wilderness. Our skin was black like an oven because of the terrible famine. They ravished the women in Zion and the maids in the city of Judah. Princes are hanged up by their hand. The faces of the elder were not honored. They took the young men to grind, and the children fell under the wood. I don't even think I'll really know what that really means. The elders have ceased from the gate, the young men from their music. The joy of our heart is ceased, our dance is turned to mourning. The crown is fallen from our head. Woe to us that we have sinned. For this our heart is faint. For these things our eyes are dim. Because of the mountain of Zion, which is desolate, the foxes walk upon it. Thou, O Lord, remainest forever, thy throne from generation to generation. Wherefore dost thou forget us? Wherefore dost thou forget us forever, and forsake us so long time? Turn thou unto us, turn thou unto thee. I messed that up. I want to say this right. It's important. It's the very last part, and I think that's why the devil wanted me to skip it and miss it. Turn thou us unto thee, O Lord. Turn thou us unto thee, O Lord, and we shall be turned. Renew our days as of old. But thou hast utterly rejected us. Thou art very wroth against us. Even though that's devastating in so much, I love the way they comfort themselves in that. And I'm going to actually, when I feel down, is go back to how they comforted themselves and just read that little bit again and keep encouraging myself the way they encouraged themselves. God bless you.